Hey guys, welcome to this week's review of The Real Housewives of Potomac Reunion Part Uno. So let's get into it. So the first half of this reunion, they deal with Mia and they deal with Giselle. Now, so let's start off with Mia and her storyline, right? I don't know, Mia is not perfect, but I like Mia. I think she was a good addition to the cast. She was. Now, I don't know if it's just me and maybe because I watch a lot of reality television. So I feel like I'm a little bit desensitized to strippers. I don't know. I feel like we're very much in a stripper culture. You guys get what I'm saying? So I'm desensitized. It's not as shocking to find out someone was a stripper in the past. Like, a lot of housewives were a stripper. Okay, maybe not a lot of housewives, but Erica Jane was a stripper. I think Danielle Stobbs from New Jersey was a stripper. Nene was a stripper. Kim Zolciak was a stripper, allegedly. I feel like I'm definitely missing people, but a lot of these housewives, they have passed. They do. So it's not that shocking to me anymore, right? So when the ladies act all like, oh my gosh, and they turn their nose up and they make faces, I just find it really immature. Now, I'm not in high society, so maybe if you were in high society, I can understand you having like an attitude or being snobby about it. But it's just weird to me, especially when you're in entertainment. You guys are all on reality television. So, the standards are not that high. I don't know how to say this any nicer. The standards are not that high. So, I don't know why they're judging her for that. Like, you don't know what happened in her life that, we heard a little bit of what happened in her life, right? So knowing everything that she been through, you don't know what got her to that point where she's like, okay, this is a viable option for me. This is maybe one of the few viable options for me. And this is what I'm going to do because, strippers make a lot of money. And it's not for everybody, right? It's not for a lot of people, right? I don't think I could do it. But I could also understand that if you have a child or you need to make money and you can make, hell, didn't she say G paid her like $10,000 just to talk to her? So if you can make potentially thousands of dollars per night, right? Versus working at McDonald's, and I did work at McDonald's, so I could speak on that, right? You will not even make $1,000 per week. You won't make $1,000 for 2 weeks if you work full time at McDonald's. You are not gonna make $1,000, especially by the time they take out taxes and everything, right? So I can understand financially why someone would choose to be a stripper versus do something else. The money is good. Now, I understand with that comes other things, right? I'm not saying that's the best job or the best option, right? People live their life and they make their choices, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I just find it very off-putting for Candace. I know Candace doesn't like Mia, right? But the way they're acting is just immature to me. You guys are grown, especially like Wendy, you kind of want to, I don't know, I feel like I said, we're very much in the stripper culture and that's popular right now. And it's like, Wendy, you want to emulate some of the stuff for fun, right? You want to be that girl because you got your surgeries and everything. But then you look down on Mia, which I find really hypocritical. I do. Sorry. And another thing, when Mia was talking about all her plastic surgeries, right? Listen, I think that plastic surgery, I'm not against it, right? Do what you want to do, but I am concerned that I feel like a lot of people are being pressured to get surgeries, and I don't think it's a good thing, to be completely honest with you. But at the end of the day, you can do what you want, right? However, I find it very, very, very hypocritical for these ladies, right? Well, to be fair, Potomac, the ladies haven't had a lot of plastic surgery compared to the other franchises, right? But, well, like Beverly Hills, Atlanta, New York, maybe. They definitely have had some surgeries, right? But you guys are all in the entertainment business. You guys are all in reality television. So people getting plastic surgery shouldn't be this shocking thing where you guys are turning your nose up and blah, blah, blah. And I think, what did she get? Like vaginal rejuvenation, I think it's called, right? And like, they're like, ooh, why would you get that? And da 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 da. And yeah, I know it's a fairly new thing. Don't get me wrong, right? Maybe you would be shocked, but to act disgusted, listen, people, maybe their labia, sorry to be so graphic, but maybe people have their labias and it's hanging a little lower than they want to, and they feel the need to trim it or do whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, this is the culture that we're in. Like, people are getting plastic surgery for everything, right? You guys are not new to this. You guys are part of the industry. So, and especially from Wendy, out of all the ladies from Wendy, for you to kind of be turning up your face and whatever, like maybe not too long ago, okay, boob jobs have always been, well, they haven't always been a thing, but they've been a thing for a while, so they're not as taboo. But getting your butt done, that's a fairly recent thing, right? I guess like people have been doing it before, but I still feel like it was a little bit taboo. Right now it's like, getting a Big Mac from McDonald's, like it doesn't take much to get a BBL nowadays, right? But if we were to go back 10 years, 15 years, it would have been like, you got your butt done? What? Huh? Really? People would be looking at Wendy weird. People would be making up the face weird at Wendy. So for her to be like judging Mia when you are getting your own body done, you're getting plastic surgery, and you feel like that's what you want to do and that's your choice and it's empowering for you and you can show that off, but then you're looking at Mia weird. It's like, I know you guys don't like her. I feel like maybe Candace has more of a reason to have beef with her. A little bit, but like, Wendy, what did Mia do to you? Really, like, I'm thinking, what did Mia do to Wendy? Like, what did Mia really do to Wendy? Like, Wendy had a problem with Mia from the start. From the start. And I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. Moving on, right? And I'm going to be talking about Wendy again, right? Because now we're on to Giselle. And, they're going in on Giselle. Okay, and whatever. They have to because she's on reality television. And yes, she does dish it out to everybody else. So if she has to take it, she does. And I think Giselle is forever paying for, I believe it was the third season, where she was, the third or the fourth season, where she was absolutely cruel to Karen. Cruel, evil to Karen, right? And I feel like she is forever paying for that. And I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, you take your digs. Yep, she deserves it. Yep, she deserves that. Yep, that's right. Yep, okay. But now we're getting to the threshold where I feel like we're right about even now. I feel like Giselle has been humiliated. You know what I'm trying to say. Giselle has been embarrassed, okay? Especially with the Jamal thing, like, Giselle has been embarrassed enough. I mean, hell, like, even that same season where Giselle was horrible, Monique and Karen kind of messed up her relationship with Sherman. I'm not blaming them for the ending, but they had a huge part. Like, they really effed with Giselle, right? But just since Giselle is the obvious villain, I think people kind of forget what they did with Sherman and how foul that was, to be honest, Monique and Karen. So I think we're just about even now. And now it's just starting to get to the point where you have me feeling sorry for Giselle. What the hell? Why am I feeling sorry for Giselle? But they keep picking at her, where I'm like, okay, enough. Wendy, oh my gosh, Wendy, just... I get that Wendy is upset with Giselle, right? I get that Wendy is upset, but I stand by my feeling when I'm like, I feel like, okay, the story with Wendy's husband, I definitely think it was some nonsense bullshit. Let's just be real, okay? At this point, nothing more has come out. It was clearly nonsense, right? Giselle, yes, she brought it up, but it was in the blogs. Unfortunately, it was in the blogs. And low-key, we know that Giselle is a producer, and we know that she's a producer's pet, right? So I feel like she was just trying to bring it up to make it part of the storyline, which was wrong. Yes, but she didn't go in that hard. Now, some people will say, well, if you go in a little, you still went in. You can't step in shit a little, right? I get that, right? If you step in shit, you step in shit, right? I get that. But you guys are on reality television, so I wouldn't hold such a grudge, or I wouldn't have such animosity if someone's bringing up something that was in the blogs, which everybody was talking about, right? It wasn't like Teresa and Jackie from Real Housewives of New Jersey, where Teresa just brought up the rumor out of nowhere that Jackie's husband was cheating on her, right? She just brought it up at his birthday party, of all places. Like, Teresa was absolutely terrible for that, right? With Giselle, this was on the blogs. People were talking about this already. It wasn't a secret. Everybody knew about this. It was a huge thing. So, and when she brought it up, she wasn't like, oh yeah, this is true, She immediately, after she brought it up, she immediately said, I don't think this is true. So I come back to the reunion, right, with Wendy. I definitely think Wendy has the right to be upset with Giselle. But, like, at what point does it end? You cussed her out at that, when they went on the group trip, right? You said, well, you don't have a man, and and you even said, oh, well, you don't have a man, all you can bring is your luggage, and like, you have got her back so many times now. You've made her look foolish, you've made her look stupid. At what point do you let it go? At what point do you show a little bit of grace? Because it's starting to come off kind of gross to me, right? When Andy is asking her questions and speaking about Jamal cheating on her 50,000 times, right? Like, we all know the story. Like, I'm not even in Atlanta, and I know the gossip. So at this point, we all know what's going on, right? And it's like, it is low-key kind of shaming Giselle for Jamal's actions, right? And, like, using that to embarrass her. And, like, Wendy's there smiling and making comments and, like, oh yeah, your guy cheated on you. He cheated on you. He cheated on you. It's like, yeah, we know that. We know that. What is your point? Oh, I'm rambling. All I'm just gonna say on that, I don't know, Wendy's is starting to rub me the wrong way, because it's like Giselle said, it's like, you're taking glee in him doing these terrible things to me and to his daughter, and it's coming off, I don't know, like, because it's like, at some point you can't get mad at somebody else for doing something when you're doing the exact same thing. You know, like at some point, you do have to be the bigger person. But, you know, I can't, even though I spend this whole time defending Giselle, I can't defend Giselle that much because, listen, she dishes it out, so she should be able to take it. But it's like, it's getting to a point now where you guys are just doing a little too much. And, you know, maybe Wendy can take notes from Karen, because Karen will throw a little bit of jab, but then Karen knows when to sit back and be quiet. I will give Karen that. Giselle, speaking a little bit of, you know, her situation with Jamal and maybe her not being vulnerable with the group. She feels like she shares. I don't think she really shares with the group. I think she will give us information when it comes to her own individual storylines. Like that moment with her daughters, to me, that was very vulnerable and that was very open, right? That didn't necessarily make Giselle look in the best light, but she shared that. But I don't think she's so much open. She's not so much open with the other ladies because she knows that some of the ladies, they don't like her, right? So that may be a strategic move on her part, but then I can understand the frustration with the other ladies if Giselle is going in on them and she never opens it up to the group. Like, for example, Candace opening up about Chris, right? And him being her manager. Obviously, Candace knew that the ladies were going to have something to say, but she still did it. She still opened up and put herself out there, right? And I feel like Giselle, she's going to have to she doesn't have to do anything, but I think she should take the leap of faith and put herself out there. And it's like, yeah, the ladies may have something to say, but fortunately, that's your job and that's what you get paid for. So she does need to open up a bit more. And I think that may help her in her personal life because it seems like she has issues being vulnerable in general. So it could be good practice to be ripped apart by the entire nation. Maybe. So we are moving on to Candace now. Candace. Let me start positive. I like Candace. I do. She's absolutely gorgeous. The pink looked divine with her skin. Her skin was glowing. You know, the wig was a little wiggy. But overall, I did like the cut and the shape, right? I loved her nails. You know, I enjoyed her makeup. She looks great. And I really root for Candace. I do. I know she's been through a lot, right? She is like the underdog. But, well, let's just get into the butt, right? But first, let's talk about her relationship with her mother, right? So Candace shares with everybody that the relationship between her and her mother is strained because of what Dorothy said about Chris. And Dorothy crossed the line. She really did. You know, and I've been saying this, right? Like, Candace was so mad at Mia. I'm not saying she shouldn't be mad at Mia, right? But it was just a little too much. She should have that energy for her mom. But to be fair, she didn't really see how everything played out until she watched back the episode, right? She even spoke about how her in-laws, right? Chris's parents, they are starting to have issues with her because of her mom. So this is serious. Like, when I saw that episode, I was really disgusted with Dorothy because Dorothy really went out of her way to talk shit. You know, Mia didn't have to do much. Mia didn't have to ask anything, really. Like, Dorothy would have spilled the whole tea about Chris. And the thing about it is, like, according to Candace, some of this tea that Dorothy is spreading is not true. So, on top of spreading disparaging remarks about your daughter's husband, you are potentially, allegedly lying on top of that. So you're just spreading lies. Why would you do that? What kind of mother would do this? That's absolutely terrible. And I feel sorry for Candace. I do. And Dorothy doesn't need to be on the show. She really doesn't. Right? And I know Candace is upset, but like, I know she's your mother, but if this is how she's gonna act and this is how she's gonna treat you, she's doing more damage than good. Like, Candace definitely needs to set boundaries with her. And I think one of those boundaries is like, nope, you're no longer gonna be on the show, right? And though I know the flip side of that, like, Dorothy is entertaining, right? Dorothy is good television, and Dorothy helps her in that sense, but the relationship is toxic, so I wouldn't even have her on the show anymore. If Candace is going to pursue some sort of relationship with her, right? But I do think it needs to be from a distance, because something's wrong with Dorothy. You know, a part of me felt like, okay, maybe they all are conspiring together to stir up drama or whatever, because it was so ridiculous. But seeing Candace break down like that, I know she's an actress, but damn, if that was an act, she deserves an Oscar, you know? So for her to break down like that, it shows me that is real. And just Dorothy's effed up. That's all I gotta say. Dorothy has some serious work to do. And that being said, like, and no judgment when I say this, right? I get it. Well, maybe not to that extent, but a bit, right? When you're raised by, and I know narcissist is kind of thrown out there, like, you know, is overused. So I'm not going to use it, but I'm going to kind of use it. When someone has narcissistic tendencies like that, and you were raised by them, you really do have to be careful. You have to be careful that you are not replicating certain things, right? Because you'll think that, oh, I'm not like that, so I'm better. Not realizing that a lot of the ways and reasons you react in a certain way is based off of the trauma you experienced. And I'm sorry, I feel like it explains a lot of how Candace reacts to people when she has conflict, and why she is so over the top and so defensive. Because imagine dealing with a parent that, from what we've seen, I have to say, from what we've seen of Dorothy, dealing with a parent that gaslights you, right? Which is basically invalidating your feelings, making you feel like you're crazy. Essentially, right? Someone that is constantly insulting you and putting you down, you know, making you feel like, oh, you need me. Without me, you would be nothing. That's why Dorothy loves to hold her financial support of Candace over Candace's head, right? Like, all those manipulation tactics. And that F's with you. And then I can understand why when other people trigger you, or other people cross you or disrespect you, you have such an explosive reaction, because you're not just reacting to that moment. When Candace yells at somebody or cusses somebody out, she's reacting to all the times her mother or other people in her life put her down and made her feel small and made her feel crazy. She is like, no, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna stand up for myself. I'm gonna say what I have to say. So I empathize with Candace, but it's like, if someone bumps into you, right, and they don't apologize, and you take out a gun and you shoot them, and then people are like, why did you shoot that person? That's absolutely too much. Why would you do that, right? You say, oh, well, they bumped into me. They started it. They shouldn't have bumped into me. It's their fault. You're gonna go to jail, right? If you're in a court of law and you use that as a defense, well, they bumped into me. They shouldn't have bumped into me. If you use that as a defense, your ass would be in jail. Right? That's not excusable. And I feel like that's what Candace does. Someone does something to her, right? Because I'm not saying Mia is innocent, right? I'm not saying Mia wasn't being shady and Mia wasn't being rude. She was. But Candace takes that to another level, right? She overreacts. Now, if someone bumps into you and they don't apologize and you feel like they did it on purpose and you push them back, is that technically the right thing to do? Maybe not, but that's understandable. Like, you push me, hey, what? You push the person back. You may even step on their feet. You may even slap them in the face. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but it's a reasonable reaction, right? But taking a gun out and shooting them is disproportionate. It's disproportionate, right? Even when Candace said your mama to Mia, right? Mia didn't react. Mia took that. She took that L, right? But Candace just kept going and going and going and digging, and she didn't know when to stop. When she could have just sat down with Mia and expressed to her maturely, hey, you hurt my feelings when you said my stuff was low budget, because I worked really hard on that, right? But I feel like she doesn't do that because, I don't know, I'm just going to bring it back to her mom, because I have a feeling that in the past, right, if she has an issue with her mom and she sat down with her mom and say, hey mom, you know, it really hurt me when you did that, what is her mom going to do? Oh, well, you're being too sensitive. Oh, you're overreacting. I didn't do that. What are you talking about? You know, just gaslighting her. So she learned that you can be vulnerable, right? Even though she does cry and stuff like that, but I think in the moment, she's not able to express herself in a mature way, to be honest. It's like she yells or she breaks down and she cries. And she's very articulate, so it's not like she can't say what she feels. So rambling. I think Giselle gave her good advice, right? But I think because Candace went through so much last season, and I will say Andy was wrong. Andy was wrong for kind of sort of implying that Candace deserved what happened to her last year because of her mouth, right? I think Monique was just... Because even in that moment, Candace really didn't say anything too crazy, you know? She didn't say anything worse than anybody else on that stage, right? So Andy was wrong for that, and I still feel like Candace didn't deserve what she got. But I think because of what happened, Candace is now super defensive, right? Because last season, she was a little bit more apologetic, where I feel like she didn't really need to be that apologetic. So now it's like she's super defensive now. Like, I'm not apologizing again. I'm in the right. And the audience has been very cruel to her, right? And I do like Candace, but I think in this moment, I have to call it how I see it. She's being super defensive, and I think she needs to listen to Giselle, right? Because well, like I said, you know, Chris said that he only wanted to be 5 seasons on the show, and I think their next season is the 5th season, so that may be her final season. So maybe she just needs to go on if this is not the right environment for her. But if she wants to continue to stay on the show, I don't know. She's just going to isolate herself from everybody. You got to know what's appropriate. No one's saying you can't react. No one's saying you can't read somebody or shade somebody or whatever, right? But you need to know the limit. Because at the end of the day, you're not giving the read that you think you are. You're not, right? Like saying Ashley's forehead is big. Can we stop making fun of big foreheads? I actually, personally, I like big foreheads. I don't get how that's this great insult to say someone has a big forehead. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like that's just, it's immature, stupid stuff like that. You're not giving what you think you're giving. At the end of the day, you know, you're not really hurting Ashley like that or anybody else. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting your reputation, especially if you want to continue to be a celebrity, if you want to be in the music industry, right? People do have to, not everybody has to like you, but, some people have to like you, right? And I'm sorry, your personality could deter people away from supporting your music that would have supported your music. Like you're only hurting yourself at this point. So don't do it for other people, right? Don't do it because, oh, if I don't, then it's unfair to me. No, you're hurting yourself with these reactions. At the end of the day, that's the only person you're hurting, right? Because you're stressing yourself out, you're raising your blood pressure, you're hurting your own reputation, you're isolating yourself from everybody else. So, I don't know, be a little bit more strategic about things. Like Karen, like Giselle, be just a little bit more strategic. So, I like Candace, but I think this reunion is going to be a rough one for her, along with Giselle. But, I do like both of them. I still like Candace. But, I'm just really disappointed. But they're entertaining me, so I can't complain. They're doing their job. So, you know what? Kudos to all of the ladies. That's the damn review. I'm done. See ya, guys.